Here it is. Here is your guide to surviving the dive meta in Season 2 of Marvel Rivals. Anyone that plays Strategist is very aware of how hard it is to survive for even 1 second in the current state of the game. But don't worry, I'm going to give you all my best tips to combat dive and stay alive for as long as you can. While dive comps might feel very frustrating to play against as a strategist, this is very much a newer game pace for Marvel Rivals that players will have to learn to play against. Your teammates need to understand that they may need to turn around and help you, but the onus isn't solely on them. You have to know how to defend yourself and waste the diver's time as much as possible. There are some strategists who inherently perform better against dive, so let's quickly go over them. The best choices against dive are Loki, Raccoon, and Cloak and Dagger. There are also what I like to call the skill-dependent strategists that can perform super well against dive, but it's ultimately based on the strategist player's aim or skill. In this group are Mantis, Warlock, and Invisible Woman. And lastly, the worst choice against dive is Lunar Snow. You might say, but Sheik, when I play Lunar Snow, I freeze the enemy Black Panther and kill him all by myself. And that's great, but Luna only has one tool to stop dive, and once it's off cooldown, you're defenseless. On top of that, her freeze is aim dependent. It can be hard to hit, especially on characters who have 5 dashes and are intentionally holding their dashes for when they see you begin to cast your freeze. So it's never going to be a 100% chance to freeze, even for the best Lunar Snow players. If you do hit your freeze, line up a headshot with her primary attack. It does a lot more burst damage than hitting an enemy with her clap. Luna also has her self-heal when she casts her claps and her freeze, which gives 90 health over 3 seconds, so you can regenerate a total of 180 health over 6 seconds, but only if you don't layer the heals. You have to wait the entire 3 seconds before casting your other ability if you want to make total use of the healing, which obviously isn't ideal. However, Luna is a lot more effective at dealing with dive if she has the Iron Fist team up, which gives her an AoE heal that knocks back and slows enemies. This gives her a second ability to peel for herself, and I'll often lock her in if I have an Iron Fist. The team up instantly makes her so much better at defending herself. And lastly, don't forget that Luna gets increased speed when she ice skates forward. You can use this movement speed to run away from deadly situations if you have enough time to put on your ice skates, as there's a short activation period. Did you know you can run away from Stormwall with Luna's increased movement speed? Now let's talk about our saving grace of Season 2, Loki. He is 1000% the best strategist to play against dive. He's an S tier character, and I also think he's the strongest strategist in the game. Let's talk about why. The most important tool that he has, which most players know about, is his immunity lamps, otherwise known as his regeneration domain. Loki spawns an AoE heal around each of his clones, which is protected by the immunity lamp above them. A lot of players might not know that these domains convert incoming damage into more healing at a 30% conversion rate. This is on top of the 100 healing per second. If the lamp is destroyed, then the healing zone will disappear. This ability has a 30-second cooldown and lasts for a duration of 5 seconds. Placing these lamps down also provides Loki a great opportunity to out DPS the diver. If you hit them with 2 clones up a couple times, you'll see their health bar get absolutely destroyed. Loki has a lot of other tools to help him survive. He can go invisible with his right click, which also leaves a clone at his position when you cast it. You'll be healed while you're invisible, and there is no time limit on the invisibility. You can cast your teleport and spawn clones, and it won't take you out of your invisibility, and it has a 15-second cooldown. Loki can swap positions with a clone, which again has a 15-second cooldown. I would recommend placing clones on a higher ground so that you can teleport up there. Some enemies might not be able to follow you. So overall, Loki has 3 ways of escaping or dealing with dive characters with his immunity field healing, his teleport, and his invisibility. All of these abilities have pretty high cooldowns, so the more experience you get with managing his cooldowns, the more effective you'll be. So in essence, Loki can use his immunity field to stall time, then TP away after the enemy breaks it, and he still has his invis if he needs to escape again. And on top of this, if your team is running the Loki, Hela, and Thor team up, Loki receives 50 bonus health every time Hela lands a final hit, or he will be resurrected if he was dead. After all, he is a god. It's important to remember that a lot of dive characters are melee based, meaning that they will have to get pretty close to your clones to kill them. Keep this in mind when you're placing them. Raccoon. He received huge changes going into Season 2, which have been met with ambivalence by many players. While the bonus health on his ultimate is nice, along with the direct hit bonuses when healing allies, he now heals himself slower, and also suffers from a reduced dash distance and an increased dash cooldown. But regardless of these changes, he still fares extremely well against dive, simply because he can climb walls walls and terrain which most enemies have trouble matching. Your primary playstyle as Rocket Raccoon is to use your height to your advantage. Make sure you stay near walls so you can parkour when danger is close. You should fire healing orbs as you're crawling also. He has a revive which comes in handy if one of your allies gets assassinated early on. Many teams are wiped just from one overzealous teammate getting picked. Rocket stops this from happening as often. His ultimate also charges incredibly fast, meaning that if you do manage to stay alive, you're likely to get your ultimate before your strategist teammates. He's a great pick this season. Now let's talk about the character you were probably most surprised about earlier on in the video, Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger is a polarizing character for many high elo players and content creators, but here's an explanation of why she's good from a high elo strategist who actually plays a ton of her. She can survive against dive with her healing bubble, Dagger Storm. It heals for 55 per second for 6 seconds and has a cooldown of 12 seconds. So my top tip is to save your bubble for when you think you're going to get dove and fire your daggers at an ally who is close to you or just straight at that enemy. The healing AoE effect on your primary fire will also heal yourself, which when paired with your Dagger Storm is around 100 healing per second when factoring in the seasonal bonus healing Dagger benefits from. This is a huge amount of self-healing. It provides almost the same amount of healing as Loki's healing fields, but on a much lower cooldown, which is a comparison that most people seem to forget about. When your healing bubble is down, you can sustain yourself by healing with your daggers. You'll find you can whittle down an enemy's health pretty decently in a 1v1 by doing this, then swap to Cloak to blind the enemy and DPS them with Cloak's primary fire to finish them off. You should use the brief window of the enemy being blinded to your advantage. That's your time to play aggressively and reposition. If the 1v1 isn't going your way, or there's more than one diver and there's no chance of winning, you could use your dark teleportation to make yourself immune to most damage and reposition yourself. The best part about Cloak form is you can put yourself on higher ground where some enemies won't be able to reach you. Always try to do this. Cloak's ultimate also charges incredibly fast, so don't be afraid to throw it out if all of your cooldowns are down and you think you're going to die. It's better to stay alive and waste your ultimate than letting your team fight without a healer. Now let's move on to the healers that a lot of tier list and content creators might say are really strong against the dive meta, Mantis and Adam Warlock. And theoretically they are, but the problem is that in reality they aren't. This is because their kits are very lackluster for any player who's not in the top 1% or playing at a very high level. The effectiveness of those characters is determined by how accurate a player's aim is. You have to be incredibly accurate with their aim to gain anywhere near as much value as you would be getting by simply playing Rocket or Cloak and Dagger, who are two of the easiest healers. It's true that Mantis' sleep is very strong against dive characters, but it is also incredibly easy to miss if you're not a super experienced Mantis. You have to know exactly when to interrupt every flanker in their combos and where certain immunity frames are, and even then the hitbox and trajectory can fool you. It's a lot smaller and heavier than it looks. My advice is to throw the sleep at walls or at the floor where you can, and it's a lot easier to hit an enemy rather than always trying to throw their sleep at their model. However, the sleep has a 15-second cooldown, so regardless of if you hit it or not, once you've thrown it, you're extremely vulnerable to getting picked off. You can make up for that by pumping out some decent damage and becoming a monster at headshots, which circles back to my prior point of a high skill ceiling. Adam Warlock's Soul Bond is a very useful tool against dive. Sharing the health pool amongst all your allies is a good way to make sure no one gets picked off while the enemy dives on top of you, but the problem is that it only has a duration of 6 seconds and the cooldown is now 40 seconds going into season 2. You are very easy to pick off when it's down since Adam only has 250 health. A lot of the time you'll get blown up before you could even press your heal. Luckily, Adam has a passive resurrect every 105 seconds, so that means he can actually play the game. Adam received a good change recently, which means that whenever he hits a headshot, his heal is reduced by 1 second. Unlike Mantis, he can actually burst heal himself and doesn't just have to rely on a passive heal. But again, just like Mantis, he's now reliant on hitting headshots consistently, which gives Adam a very high skill ceiling. Adam does however have a team-up ability which gives Mantis and a Star-Lord a resurrect. This team-up definitely cushions any misplays that you might make on Mantis and is decently strong. In conclusion for Adam and Mantis, yes, on paper they are great counters to dive, however you need to be experienced on them if you're going to lock them in. You need very accurate and consistent aim to get anywhere near as much value as locking in someone like Loki or Rocket. Train your aim in the practice range and learn them in quick match before locking them in ranked. I for one am sick of getting Warlock rezzed right in the open just to instantly die again. They are two very high skill cap characters with a lot of potential in the right hands. You can easily outdamage a diving enemy with the right experience. That brings us to Invisible Woman. Now she's a tricky one. She can be really good against dive, but again it's dependent on the skill of the player. She doesn't heal herself as easily as other characters and depends on an ally being near her, but she has a lot of utility with a lot of potential. You have 3 main ways of dealing with dive on Invisible Woman. Number 1, pull or push them away. It's best to try and interrupt their dashes or movement abilities. This will likely make them a sitting duck for the rest of your team to eliminate them, especially on characters like Black Panther, Venom and Wolverine. Number 2 is put a shield on an ally that's close to you who is likely to be your other healer and play around the shield. While your shield is healing you, you can throw out some damage at the divers by throwing a vortex at your feet and using your primary attack. Make sure to weave in your melee attacks if they're close enough. And number 3, use your jump to disengage whenever you need to reposition or there's too much damage to self-sustain. Your jump will grant you invisibility and slowly heal you. Try to grab yourself a health pack or get your other healer to heal you so that you can get back in the fight as quickly as possible. So in essence, your shield is your main defense because of the self-healing it provides to you. It's imperative that you recall it frequently so the health can regenerate often. You'll get the hang of managing her shield health the more you play her. I'll probably make a video about this in the future. When your shield is down, you usually want to pop your invis and get into a better position to find an ally and heal yourself with the shield again once it has regenerated. And lastly, we have Jeff. Jeff's main defense against dive is to either dive the enemy team's healers and fight fire with fire, or he can sit in your backline if you know the enemy is running dive and he can surprise attack for easy eliminations. The enemy divers won't expect anyone to actually peel for the healers. Jeff also does decent healing, so don't just tunnel vision as a DPS Jeff if your own healers are struggling. You can help your own backline too. Or just play healer Jeff. You can heal your teammates and switch to damage whenever you want. Lots of duelist players don't expect Jeff to pack such a punch with his fins. Thanks so much for watching this video. Let me know in the comments if you have any future video suggestions. I also stream on Twitch regularly, so come check out how I actually deal with dive. I'll see you guys next time.